Well, good evening. It is Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and it is Friday, December the 9th at approximately 8:45 p.m. Mountain Time. That'd be 20:45 Mountain Time. Eloy, Arizona, just a few miles south of Phoenix and a few miles to the north and west of Tucson. Hello, Barber Dave. And so I had a nice hot shower. I've got approximately 60 hours, 2.5 days of whiskers on my face. I've not had opportunity to get a shower and shave in the meantime. It was day before yesterday morning when I woke up, when I had my last shave in Tehachapi at the Love's Truck Stop at Tehachapi, California. Let's introduce the equipment and we'll carry on in a minute. Our razor this evening is going to be the Inox Filarmonica number 13 Inox, and of the four fillies that I've got, this is the one that's in the best shape. This is in excellent condition. No real flaws on it to speak of at all. So very, very, very happy with this razor. So we got the Inox here, and soaking, we've got the Simpson Chubby 3 Super Badger, just a lovely big old fat brush, and I love that. So we'll put it back in the water to soak again. It's been soaking for about 15 minutes. And Ariana and Evans, A&E's Peach and Cognac. Yes, Peach and Cognac. Very nice fragrance, lasts a lifetime. It lasts for a long time. The fragrance lingers in the brush for some little time. We're starting this evening with a dry puck, and I just squeezed most of the water out of the puck. Let's add a little bit. I want to get it nice and loaded. Just a touch more. I want it to get soaked up all the way down into the knot. And it's pretty well all the way down in there. We'll take the excess off. And so I'm going to pick up my storytelling where I left off and kind of give you a rundown on the unfolding of events. Nothing particularly startling or exciting. It's just a kind of a day in the life, so to speak, in the life of a truck driver. Most of the work that I do is is mundane, boring. The driving, that's the thing. But started off after the shave at Tehachapi, which was at about 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. I drove from there 2.5 to 3 hours down to the LA wash rack on Downey Road in Vernon, which is on the southwest side of Los Angeles. And I got in there. Oh, I don't know. I left about after the shower and shave, got back to the truck, post-shave cleanup, and got going somewhere around 11 or 11:30, and I arrived at the washout at approximately 2:30. And I learned something new about the LA wash rack, and our company is that my company now has an account with LA wash rack. And the significance of that is that I no longer have to call ahead or call back to my company and get a PO number for the washout. I just say put it on account. They know who Service Transport is. That's the name of my company. I don't say it very often. And once I got there and checked in and filled out the paperwork, you know, the name of the company and what kind of wash do I want, and do I have any hoses that need to be washed out, which this is the first time I've done that, because I did have one dirty hose from the unload in Silver Springs, Nevada. I think I'm going to go with that. And so once I got there and all the paperwork filled out, I just went back to the bunk and started watching movies. I don't remember so much what I watched that day as I do yesterday. Let's get started here. And so I requested that the trailer be ready and available between 8 and 9 o'clock yesterday morning. And they said they'd have it ready at that time, but they weren't exactly on time. But you know, it was about 9:40, 9:45 when they brought me the paperwork. I have to have a washout receipt, what kind of wash, verified clean, you know, and so that way they can put a different kind of product. Now here's something that's kind of interesting, is that a lot of the products that we carry, that's one of the reasons why we don't do backhauls that often, is that our trailers, the product is not compatible with anything else. It'll screw up the chemistry of the second product, even after the trailer is washed out. Because sometimes these products are not water soluble, they leave behind a residue even when washed. And so that's why we don't do a lot of backhauls. But when we do, or when we have a product that can be washed out, we will go on the load boards. That we have a whole department of about 3 people, 4 people maybe. That's all they do, is that they're hunting the load boards, and they establish relationships with brokers so that when we are in need of a backhaul, make the phone call. And And so the trailer was ready for me, and I got hooked up, and I was out of there by 10:15, I think. It doesn't take long for me to do what I need to do to hook up to the trailer, do a pre-trip inspection and all that stuff every day. Now the DOT says that a proper pre-trip inspection should take approximately 45 minutes. You know, getting underneath the trailer, getting underneath the tractor, checking the brake pads, checking the steering column, checking the steering column, the joints, all these different names. I don't even remember what the names of all. We had to know them at one time. You understand? And do that every day at the beginning of the day. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I don't know. Now I need to be careful here. I don't wanna. I don't know any truck driver that does that every day. They might do it at the beginning of a trip, or at the beginning of a new load. Some of these guys that are what they call line haul drivers that are out on the road for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, and they just go from spot to spot to spot to spot. Even long haul drivers that are called line haul drivers, they'll go from Los Angeles to Seattle to Billings to Fargo to Chicago. I just had an alarm go off that took me out of the video. I failed to mention at the beginning of the video that the edge on this razor, like all of the other Filarmonicas that I have, is a Shapton glass 30,000. And doing a great job. So I was talking about the pre-trip inspection. DOT has an expectation of 45 minutes every day, inspecting the equipment, checking the lug nuts, making sure they're not loose, making sure the wheel's not going to fall off. But as I say, I don't know a truck driver does that at least every day. He might do it at the beginning of a new load. He might do it on the beginning of a new trip. And most drivers I know, they do an abbreviated, they're not going to have on their clean clothes to crawl underneath the truck and get all greasy and dirty and climb back. See, a long haul driver lives in his truck. The last thing he wants is grease and dirt on the driver's seat, on the dashboard. You look at a oil field worker's truck. Of course, they do what's called slip seating, and that truck is running 24 hours a day, and you got 2, maybe 3 drivers who drive it during the course of the day. And they're in the oil fields where it's oil and dirt and mud. Those trucks are filthy, inside and out. Maybe I should have said that in reverse order, outside and in. And no, I live in that truck. I want it spotless. Don't come into my truck if you're greasy. I tell that to the mechanics. They don't listen at the shop, Don't come in my truck and leave grease all over the place. They don't, it happens, and I've got to grin and bear it. But I always complain about it too. And so we do those things where we don't have to get on our hands and knees and crawl under the truck and lay on our back. We'll check the fluids from time to time. I got a big glob that's getting ready to drop off. I should have caught that. Anyway. And so I did my inspection on the tractor and trailer. As abbreviated as that might have been. And I was out of there and rolling, we'll say 11 o'clock. And it was 2.5 hours the 3 hours down to the Pilot truck stop at San Diego. And it's over on the east side of San Diego, over right at the end or near the terminus point of California State Highway 125, if you were to look on a map. And every time I go there, I always say, that's the last time I'm going there. It'll hold about 85 to 90 trucks. It is dirty, it is tight, dangerous, easy to have a contact, collision. Even at low speed, you leave a scratch or mark, that's an insurance event and it goes on your record. And companies usually really don't like it when you have a contact event. And you get 2 or 3 or 4 of those in a year, you're done. You're done. And nobody else will hire you if you get a contact event on your record. And it does go on your record and everybody sees it. Or can see it. Speaking of contact events, I got a little contact event right there. But it's so slight, the edge of my blade was a little too hot of an angle and just barely made contact, but there it was. But that'll be gone by the time the shave is over. If it's not bleeding by the time the shave is over, it doesn't count. That's very nice. Very nice. All right. The lather is thick and creamy. It's more of a cream than a lather, if I were to say. But it appears to be well hydrated. And just to make the point, we'll put a little more water on it. So anyway, I got in there about 2 o'clock to the pilot truck stop. And after I got back into my parking space, and I will tell you that it probably took 4 to 5 pull-ups, up and back, up, repositioning and angling as I'm trying to straighten out the back end of the trailer in the hole and not to make any contact. It's just not a simple, in some places, and that's one, it's not as simple as you might think to back one of those monster trucks when you've got trucks parked in front of you across the way. You cannot, from the trucks that are across from you to where you're trying to get into, you cannot put the full length of the tractor trailer straight. If I could pull the tractor and get the back end straight with the tractor and back it into the hole straight, but it's not, it's always at an angle. And that's what takes the maneuvering. And you get better with experience, to be sure. But there are some places you get into. I had a place like that in Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. Oh my goodness, how difficult was that? It took me almost 15, 20 minutes, up and back, up and back, up and back. I bet you I made 20 to 30 maneuvers forward and back to get into that hole. Because I only had like 4 feet in front of me. So we got in there, parked and settled. I watched, and then of course I got set up, got the bunk set up, unstrapped. I carry a bunch of pillows with me to make myself comfortable and prop myself up. I got my microwave, I got my refrigerator, and all that stuff that got strapped down, secured, so it doesn't become a flying object. So as I say, I got my bunk set up and got comfortable and started watching some movies. And I watched a movie and it dawned on me as I'm watching this thing, and I'm going to tell you, who's in it, or at least it's the name of the movie. I found it on Amazon, and Marlon Brando in One-Eyed Jack or One-Eyed Jacks. It's an old Western. And it's a good movie, but it dawned on me as I'm watching this, at least in that movie, Marlon Brando looks exactly like my good high school friend who lives in Oregon City, and you know I've been out there a couple of times now to visit with him. I've made mention of it. I've made mention of him several times. And he, of course, he's my age now, my friend in Lincoln City, Oregon. But when we were young and we were in high school together, and he was a state champion track star, and seriously, and I tell him now as I'm older and more confident in myself as an adult, that I was lucky to be in his shadow, and I really was, because he was the superstar of our high school. And athlete. He ran track. He won. He ran the 100-yard dash in like 9.9, 10.0, whatever. But he was that fast. And it could have been 100 meters. They may have switched over to meters back then. I don't know. And he was a state champion his senior year. State champion triple jump. He's 5'10", 5'11". I'm a couple inches or so taller than he is. And he could, flat-footed, he could jump and dunk a basketball. His legs, his thighs were massive. So that came to me while I'm watching the movie. And so I texted him and sent him a link to the movie from Amazon Share, that button you hit. And you can send the link to the movie at Amazon. And I said, you look just like Marlon Brando. Has anyone ever compared you before to Marlon Brando? I asked him. Hang on a second, I got a spot of water on the camera. And he said, no. He said, thanks for the compliment. I said, sure, anytime, buddy. And when we've been over there, when my wife and I went back in April, and when I've been there before, we go to lunch, or he'd have his son and wife along sometimes. And, or my wife would be there as this last occasion. And I'd say to him, and we'd be talking about high school days. And that's our thing, is talking about high school days. Because I played sports too, but I wasn't near the athlete. Now he and I had I'm not going to go through all of this, but he and I had, in one basketball game, he and I were both second string starter, or we were second string. I was a forward, he was a guard, and we were second string, and we came in right toward the end of the first half, and he and I pulled off a couple of plays that really brought us back into the game. We lost almost everything, but this was a playoff game, I think. I say we lost everything. That's not true. We won enough to make some playoffs, but we never got any further than that first or second round of playoffs. But he and I pulled off a couple of plays, and I'm taller, I'm 6'2", and I was much more slender and athletic back then. And that's one of the things we talk about, all the details surrounding those couple of plays that we did, and because we did them together, right? You know, I assisted, he got the, no. He assisted, I got the basket, and those 4 points that we scored, 2 baskets, it's no big deal, but it's stuff that kids remember, you know? When they're working together, playing together, go to school together, go to church together, go camping and the Boy Scouts and all that stuff together. That's stuff that kids remember. Anyway, so how Brando looked in that movie is how my friend looked when he was in his late teens in high school. If you go and watch that movie, One-Eyed Jack or One-Eyed Jacks with Marlon Brando, watch for how he moves and cocks his head sometimes. And that image is exactly how my high school buddy looked back then. So I shut the light off and went to sleep last night about 10 o'clock, 10:30. Had my alarm set for 6:15 this morning. My delivery time, my load time was 8 o'clock, and I was 1.2 miles from the plant. And so I noticed last night that my battery on my phone was at about 50%. I didn't want it to run out overnight. I don't keep it plugged in overnight. I plug it in during the day. And And so this pilot truck stop that I stayed at, that I often stay at when I'm down there, is within a mile or two of the Mexican border. And right across you can see the Tijuana International Airport. And so anyway, I charged my phone and I got it up to full charge before I shut the light off, and had my alarm set for 6:15. And my habit here lately has been to wake up 2 or 3 times during the night and check the time. And I do that with a little clock that's on the sideboard right to my left as I'm laying in the bunk. And of course it's set to Central Time, and I have to remind myself to add or subtract whatever hours based upon the time zone I'm in. So the first time I woke up, it's 1:30, it's 4:30, and then I'm laying in bed, and it feels like it's later than it is, and I feel like my alarm should have gone off. And so I check the time, and it says 7 o'clock. And I subtracted my 2 hours. And so I'm 45 minutes late getting up this morning because my phone ran out of power. And I've noticed that when I'm in Canada or really remote areas, that the battery on my phone drains out real quick. I got an iPhone XR, it's 4 years old. I don't plan on changing it out anytime soon. And this has happened to me now, like over the last 4 years, like 4 times. So it doesn't happen often, but it's always when I'm in those odd locations where I'm either in Canada, in a foreign country, or I'm in extremely remote areas, or there's something about that Mexican international border that screws with my phone, and I don't like it. But it just is what it is. Not much I can do about it. So now I'm in a mad dash. Jump up out of bed. I got to organize my bunk. I've got to strap everything down. And one of the unique features of this load or loading at this plant is I've got to get the trailer weighed on the cat scale. I say the trailer, tractor trailer, empty tractor trailer. I've got to get it weighed on the scale before I report for loading. And the good news is that don't take long. And there's usually not a line of trucks waiting to get on the scale to get weighed like there is at the fuel pumps trying to get fuel. But we got it done and over to the plant, 1.2 away. And I was there on time at 7:45. And this plant that I go into, and as you know, because I've said it many a time, I love this load. I love going in and out of there, but it's not real tight, but it's a little tight going in and out of there. And where most of all the trucks and trailers that are in there are box trailers, 53-foot dry vans, a traditional trailer. Okay. Now I'm talking about the plant where I got loaded now. And you pull in the gate, the building is on your right-hand side, you go down in behind the building to get loaded, but that's where all of the other tractor and trailers are too, the box vans. And that's where their little docking area, they got a docking area back there that'll accommodate 3 or 4 trucks. And that, I feel sorry for those guys. That is just absolutely, it's tighter than sardines in a can, how tight that is back there. And where they load me, where I sit, doesn't help them at all, because I'm about halfway into the drive lane that they've got to go by me to get to the little docking area. And just beside me, across the way, are 30 to 40 trailers that are lined up against the fence line, parked at a 40, 35, 40 degree angle. And these bobtail tractors, that's a traditional tractor without a trailer. They're looking to back in there and get up against one of those trailers. And I'm in their way, and I can't move because they're loading me. Oh well. But got in there at Got in there at 7:45 for my 8 o'clock appointment. Now, not only do I have to get weighed empty, I've got to get loaded and go back to the pilot, cat scale, get loaded, get weighed loaded, heavy, get weighed heavy. get the scale ticket and take it back to the plant where I got loaded and deliver that ticket to them. Then they go and prepare the bill of lading and all the other paperwork that I need to travel legally on the road. And so by the time it was all done, it was 12 noon. And so that's when I got on the road and started driving today. It was about 12 noon. It was approximately 6.5 to 7 hours here to Eloy. And here I am. And so nothing, that's a day in the life of, is what that is. So those are the highlights, if not a play-by-play, of the last, since yesterday morning, 36 hours. And here I am in Eloy, Arizona, doing my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Well, besides hugging and kissing on my wife and eating her cooking and being at home. But right up there with all that good stuff is shaving with my straight razor. We are going to do a head shave here in a minute. All right, let's rinse it off and see what we got. And if you're staying with me this long, I much appreciate it. Which reminds me, if you're watching me on YouTube, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you so desire. Remember to be kind, courteous, and respectful, and I will be the same. Or not, as I like to say. Or not. Got another one of those comments today. Why your video is so long? Well, he wasn't overly rude, I don't think, about it. And I just wrote back and said, look, my channel may not be for you. If you're looking for a fast, quick, ooh and ah, I'm not it. I am not it. I take my time, I try to learn from my shaves, I try to discuss my shaves when I think it necessary. But a lot of you have said to me that you like my trucking stories, so I focus more on my trucking stories. Because the shaving is just, it's with the grain, across the grain, against the grain is really all that is. That's a 3-pass shave, and I may do a little bit more, or I'm gonna try to be a little more careful, and it takes me longer. Oh well. And I think the trucking stories are just interesting because you've told me they are. And I hope I tell them in a way that's informative, entertaining. Laugh at me if you want to. That's okay. I hope I didn't take that up too high. And that's where my love is. It's in the shaving. I hone my own razors. I have this process I go through in my pre-shave and post-shave preparations. Stropping and so forth. Since I've been doing this stroke like that on my cleanup, I get underneath that corner of that chin superbly. Very pleased with that particular stroke that I come down, and right around my goober here, I call that my goober, that's my goober. There's a whole bunch of whiskers in there that I get by doing that stroke as well. And I got a bunch there too, so. I find value in doing that stroke at the end of the shave. And I think a lot of the guys have their own particular methods and styles of doing their little cleanup at the end, but this is just excellent, just excellent. All right, let me dampen my rag, rinse my edge of my blade off, then dry it here. Try and get the residue off using my, I forget the name of that specialty towel that everybody likes to get. And this is just a simple Walmart car drying towel. And it's the same thing from what I'm able to see. And there's that. And I've got these, I'm sure you have them too. If you have a Thiers, a Sard, you have one of these leather, and that's what going back and forth between the truck, that's what I carry these in. Okay, we're going to use the Union razor. Oops, I didn't do that very good. Union razor, get them in the truck stop, $12.99. And it's an excellent practice razor to learn to shave with. It's economical if you don't have a lot of money to go out and get a top flight razor. Get a gold dollar, get a Union razor, get others. Get one particularly that does not have one of those wonky gold dollar shoulders. Get the shoulderless kind. And learn to hone and shave on it. Get 3 or 4 or 5, a half a dozen, wear them out. Learn how to use pressure. That's how I learned to use pressure. Or how not to use pressure might be a better way to say it, but it's an investment in the learning curve. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I became a better honer and a better shaver because of learning to use, using those gold dollars, and they deliver a good shave. You may remember back in the spring when I took I did a beginner's video, beginner's equipment. I took my gold dollar, my very first gold dollar, I took my very first stone, the Norton 4,000, 8,000. And I rehoned, or I refreshed, if you rather me say it that way, that razor on that 8K and gave myself a shave on that gold dollar from that 8K, and it was just fine. It was just fine. It was, can I say it was as good as the 30,000 or an Arkansas translucent or hard black? I can't say, you know, and no, I really find it I'm not going to say odd, but you know, to be able to run the edge across your skin and say, now you might be able to tell whether it's a conical or an Arkansas or a synthetic, sure enough. But the razor is cutting the hair at the surface of the skin, and you touch it. Can I say this feels any different at the conclusion of the face shave from using the 30,000, Shapton glass 30,000, from an Arkansas? No, it's smooth, it's baby butt smooth, and that's what you're going for, is baby butt smooth. And a Norton 8K on a gold dollar will deliver a baby butt smooth. Now we can get into all the arguments about how long will the edge last on a gold dollar versus a better quality steel and razor. I don't know. Mine are still going good, but I don't use my gold dollars much anymore except for head shaves or practice honing. And so I'm not, you know, and my others, my good razors, I'll call them, you know, they go, the razor, the very first top quality razor I got was a Thiers Sard. You've seen me use it several times. Thiers Sard, Bijou de France, square point, 7/8. I honed it myself after it came in the mail. It took me a couple of efforts to get it right. It was back in 2015. I was still learning. I was using my gold dollars to learn. But after I got it right, I haven't done anything with it. That was on the Shapton glass 30,000. I remember I did that one because I didn't have all the Arkansas that I do now, or the Codicals that I do now. And it delivers. I'm speaking of the Thiers Assard Bijou de France. But you know what? Gold dollar, or the gold dollars and the union razors do just fine. Do just fine. Take good care of them. Oh, I got that a little low, it looks like. Or I didn't get this one low enough. Got it crooked, didn't I? I'm rushing. Well, I didn't even it out on the upstroke better anyway. I did use my clippers to give myself a haircut on Wednesday morning when I was at Tehachapi. So we're looking at about 2.5 days growth on my head, the main body of my hair. Which isn't much. My wife says I lied to her when we were corresponding. I met her on an online site, and I sent her pictures of me with a full head of hair. And it was right around that same time, maybe a little bit before, where I was shaving my head like I do now. And she says I lied to her and misrepresented myself, that I used to have hair. Well, yeah, I did. Very nice, yeah. Better satisfied with that. All right, let's just go right at it. I'm gonna wet it though. The back of my neck. We're almost done. Now, the stories you've been hearing me tell today about truck driving is just a day in the life of sit, wait, drive, sit, wait, drive. And that's what a truck driver likes to do. He likes to be out on the road driving, cross country. Give me 2 or 3 days to drive somewhere. These little short runs, I just don't know how the guys do it on these little short delivery runs, Houston to Dallas, Los Angeles to Phoenix. That would just bore me to death. When I'm out on the road for 3 to 4 days to get somewhere from Houston, that's pure heaven to me. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to run the risk of offending anybody, of them, pissing me off and me go back off on them. You know, that's never a good thing. But it happens to the best of us. In some places, though, you can't get away with it. If you're wearing a white shirt and tie and a jacket to work, sitting behind a desk all day, I gave that up. I gave that up for a lot of different reasons, but that was certainly one of them. Because you can't say what you think. And the only thing you have to say to a dispatcher is yes or no. Will you take the load? Got a load for you, yes or no? Yes, no, whatever. You know, to the mechanics in the shop, I'll let you know, did you get the problem fixed? Yeah, we got it fixed. Good, thanks, appreciate it. On my way. Good to go? Yep, good to drive. Now, you can't go with the guys in the shop like a bull in a china cabinet. I need that fixed tomorrow. I've got to go out tomorrow. Well, no, you don't. Not if the truck's not fixed. So those guys you treat like gold. And the dispatchers too. No sense in getting upset with them because they control your money by your loads that you get. All right, just wash the union razor off. Going to put it in the second sheath that I've got. Set it down and put it aside. And I'm going to start rinsing the brush out, but I'm done. I thank you for staying with me this long. I know my videos are long. Run it at 2 or 3 times the speed, I don't care. Whatever you know, I do this for other reasons, mostly for myself. The fact that you're tagging along is a blessing. And those of you that write to me and tell me that you enjoy my stories and my shaving videos, that just thrills me down to my toenails. Yeah, we'll go with toenails. We'll see you next time. We'll see you down the road.